Day of Youth Climate Action. Yeah, yay. Almost awake. Okay, I like that. Really quickly, and then I'm going to hand it over to Tim and Morin to talk about your climate action planning, which really is the entire reason that we gather for these 2 days. So you can take everything that you've learned, all of your knowledge and newfound skills, and plug it into a climate action plan, which they are going to talk all about, to then go back and share all of this with your school and community. Before we get to that, however, we do need to, again, thank our sponsors. And like Jen mentioned yesterday, it is amazing that we have 2 slides of these now, which is just that much more fantastic. Woo! Nice job, sponsors. Ooh, just kidding. So, the very next thing I want to go over quickly, so until 9 o'clock, Tim and Morin are going to take over and talk about how to actually construct your climate action plan. And then we are actually going to be, I'm going to call it a Skype, but it's a Zoom. We are going to be video chatting with COP23 and some delegates from there. And then Sean Russell is going, you've seen him around. Some of you have talked to him. He's going to be doing our next plenary session. And then really, the heart of today is you crafting your own climate action plan. So at 10:05, when you leave this theater, you'll be able to walk out, pick any area in the museum, and do your climate action planning. Then at 11:30, we'll have our school poster session and expo. And then we have lunch. During lunch, college students. It's not a big formal presentation, but we would love to have just all of the college students congregated in one area for lunch. So we'd love for all of you to go to the Find Out Forest after you have gotten your lunch and go eat in there together. And then for about half an hour, we'll come back together and look back over your climate action plan, fix anything that needs to be fixed. And then we will come back in the theater and talk about your climate action plans and what you have decided to take back to your school. Then we will have our finale by our wonderful summit crew, and then we will sadly leave at 2:45. If you have any questions, come see. Ooh, I don't know why that did that. Please come see the front desk. But without further ado, I'm going to set this right over to Morin and Tim and put it back on their presentation.
Who's ready to save the world?
Guys, come on, I can't hear you. Who's ready to save the world?
All right, sounds like a lot of you are pretty ready. So I know all of us together, we learned a lot of great things yesterday at all those different workshops, but some of you might be wondering how you're going to take that back to your communities and how you're going to use that to take climate action. Well, me and Morin, we're going to show you how to make your own climate action plan to bring home and make that change and do great climate action work. First step, too far. First step, pretty simple, brainstorming, get all those ideas that everyone learned from those workshops, get it all on paper, your whole group's ideas. No idea is a bad idea, get everything out there. Second part, unfortunately, you're gonna have to narrow it down a little bit. You're gonna be looking for focus areas in there to build your project around. Now, some of you might want to have multiple projects. If you do, that's okay, but you just need to have a separate climate action plan for each of those. And we will have climate action plans at the doors when you're walking out to take those and write it down. And as well, there's digital versions inside of your Google Drives that you all have those emails for. And now Maureen's going to tell you a little bit about how she started working on her project and built her climate action plan.
So when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my senior project this year, I was really passionate about getting local food into the mouths of people that can't afford it or can't necessarily get it all the time. And so my focal areas for my project were environmental justice, local food, and farming.
So step 3, you're going to be creating a few goals for that project that you decided on in the last step. We're going to be looking at SMART goals to really keep you on track with your project and make sure that it gets done. First part, specific. Make sure that you have a clear idea of what you're doing, not some wild general idea. Know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. Second part, measurable. Make sure you know when you've done your great work. Make sure that you know when and how it gets done. Third, achievable. Make sure it's something that you and your environmental club or whoever's working with you can do. Because we know you guys can all do great things, but make sure that you know what it is and how you're doing it. Relevant to climate action, relevant to yourselves, relevant to your community. Make sure that it falls within there and you're not doing some project for something unrelated. And finally, time bound. Make sure that you can do your project within a set amount of time that you know when it's going to get done.
So for my project, I set 3 goals on the SMART rubric. The first goal was connecting with local farmers so I could get the food. The second goal was actually collecting the food and bringing it back to my school. And the third goal was processing the food and delivering it to families in my community.
So step 4, you're going to be looking at who's going to help you make this project happen.
So for my project, the administrators of my school, such as my teachers and my principals, really helped me, push me to do this project and help me make it happen. And also the food service people in my cafeteria helped me process and distribute the food out. And
remember, success starts with
cooperation.
All right, so step 5, you're going to be creating a calendar for each of these goals. So this is the time-bound portion of the SMART goals. Whether they're short-term or long-term, make sure you write down those goals and when they're going to get accomplished.
So these are my goals that I mentioned before. My first goal, connecting with farmers, my goal for that goal was to establish a relationship with 2 to 3 farmers so I could get the food. And then my 2 other goals, collecting food and distributing food, I needed to make sure I got enough food that I could distribute it to 54 families in my community.
Step 6 is what resources do you need to accomplish your goals? So this is the measurable part of your project. Can you achieve these things? Can you get this cost, and can you get it from somewhere relatively close to you? Maureen, how did you get the resources to accomplish your goals?
So first of all, what I needed was, obviously I needed local food, and I needed a way to package this food. And for the food, I got donations from those 2 to 3 farms that I was talking about. And for the packaging, I used containers to package my food. And luckily, I got a donation of $50 from my environmental club to pay for this packaging.
So step 7 is this is actually the measured part. How you track your success. So knowing when you got stuff done and how you got it done. Maureen, how did you know when you were successful?
I was successful when I distributed the food to the families.
And how did you measure your success?
I measure my success by the number of families I served.
And who was in charge?
I was in charge.
Step 8, who do you need to keep informed regarding your project on a regular basis? Maureen, who are you talking with?
So first of all, I needed to keep in progress, like my environmental teacher that really helped me push me to do this project and help me get there, and also the middle school principal of my school that helped me distribute the food through a backpack program that we use in our school, and also the food service people in my cafeteria that helped me process the food and deliver the food to all the families.
So step 9, how can you guys spread the word about all your amazing projects that you're going to be creating in a few minutes? Maureen?
First of all, you can spread the word by putting it in your your school newspaper in your school. Next, you can put it in your local newspaper to tell your whole community about it. And thirdly, you can put it on social media and get people involved that way. Or you can also tell the Wild Center about it, and they will help you spread your idea through the Wild Center.
And so step 10 is listing 3 of those same SMART goals, but for communication. So using those SMART guidelines, how are you going to get your project out into the world?
For my project, first of all, I am telling you guys about it right here, right now with Tim. Also, I got invited to the National Organic Farming Association in January to present with Zohar, which some of you might have met her yesterday. She did a couple workshops. And also, I want to put it in my school newspaper, which I hopefully can do that by December.
And finally, you're just going to be putting all those goals and great things that you decided that you're going to accomplish down in a calendar, when you're going to accomplish them. Get your year of climate action written out and know when your environmental club, your group, is getting these things done.
So once like you have your climate action plan and you have it and you have it and you all have it, we can come together and save the planet or world or whatever you want to say.
Save them both. There you go. Save the planet and the world.
So that was fantastic, and you are all going to be doing that process. And you may have noticed, for those of you who have done this in the past, the Climate Action Plan does look slightly different. All of the pieces and parts are the same. All the goals are still the SMART goals. You still need to do all of that to get ready. And if we want to start loading up, yeah, good, okay. But yeah, if you look at it, it's really just a tool to help you stay organized. And something that Tim mentioned was that you need to have one climate action plan per project. Okay, that very first step, that brainstorming that Tim talked about, that happens on those big giant pieces of paper that will be outside of these rooms. It can be done on the dry erase boards that are throughout the museum. Okay, but the actual climate action plan, if your school decides we have about 2 or 3 projects we want to do, for each project, you will create a separate climate action plan. So you can take as many of the climate action plans as you want outside, but you need to have a separate plan for each project. Okay, I think do we have time for a couple questions? Okay, so are there any questions from anybody in the crowd? You can ask them about Morin's project or just climate action planning in general. Anybody? Okay, if you feel your, oh, we have one in the back. Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about resources in poster session. And I should mention, you can see Tim and Morin throughout the museum. So if you have questions during your climate action planning process, feel free to talk to Tim and Morin. Feel free to talk to any of the people who have done these in the past. Okay? And very quickly, yes, we do have a mini grants program. So we have funding available, and each of the teachers, you received the mini grant application from today or for this year in your folders. That mini grant application is also in your Google Drives, so you can submit it electronically. Okay, the mini grant application can be for projects from $100 to $1,000, and you have to apply before you go on Christmas break, and then you'll find out pretty much when you get back from Christmas break. Okay? If you have other questions about it, or about your Google Drive during the poster session, I will be in the Find Out Forest with Aaron and Kelly, and you can come over and talk with me to your heart's content about mini grants, Google Drives, and anything else. But thank you. We'll move on to our next speakers.
Hi, everybody. We are just going to jump on our Zoom call. How many of you have heard about the UN COP conferences? Okay, so we are, we are going to connect. They are major international conferences that happen every year and every year they're someplace else, and they're to work on climate at the international level. So all of the countries around the world, every single country can send a delegation, and they can connect to with each other to work on those negotiations. Now, today, actually, I think you're the host.
Climate's the host.
Okay. Oh, here we go. So in just a moment, we are going to be connecting. Today is actually Young and Future Generations Day in, okay, up here first. I know, you're all here. Today is actually Young and Futures Generation Day, and Today's actually Young and Futures Generation Day at the UN COP conference in Bonn, Germany. And so momentarily, we are going to be connecting with a group of youth delegates that are there to represent youth around the world to talk about climate change. And the person that we're going to be chatting with, Dr. Miroslav Polzer, is from Austria, and he runs a program called GloCha, which is around Global Challenges Action Network. And it's to empower youth around the world to take action on some of the world's most pressing problems, including climate change. Hello. Hi. Hang on. Hi, Miro. Are you there? Wave, everybody. Oh, we can't see you. Or we can see you, but we can't hear you.
You can't hear us, okay?
Oh, yeah, there you are.
Now we hear that's very nice. Best regards from the COP23 in Bonn. We are at the exhibition area. And this is Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia.
And Florian. Hey. We have looked up your work on social media, the wall with your messages that you have created. Congratulations.
Yeah, we are interested to hear more about what you are all doing in Bonn.
Okay, so COP23 is the second conference now after the COP21, which was in Paris, where the big Paris Agreement has been signed, where the countries of the world have agreed to really start working more ambitiously on the climate agreement, and they've decided that every country is coming up with nationally determined contributions with voluntary plans what they are going to do. And here now this COP is about how to manage this process. There's going to be the Talanoa process is being designed. It's the Fiji, the Pacific island Fiji is presiding over this conference, but it is held here in Germany in cooperation with the German government, and they are now looking how to really organize the international cooperation on more ambitious climate action. And these processes are very slow. We have had these processes for decades, and therefore it's very important that young people are becoming engaged, and we have today the Young and Future Generations Day here. It started with an event only 100 meters away from here, where young people conveyed their message and their determination to have more climate action. And young people are also standing ready to take action, and our organization is here to help young people to really set up the institutional infrastructure and technological infrastructure, where blockchain technology is also going to play an important role. You can see our exhibit poster there behind. So we are here to build this partnership and to mobilize the resources that will give young people a chance to help to save the world. And perhaps, Julia, our youth and communications expert.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm part of the campaign Give Youth a Chance campaign. That is the big resource mobilization campaign that Miro was just talking about. And we are representing the campaign here, interacting with youth. We have held several side events with young people, young climate activists, talking about their initiatives, what they're doing, and what resources they need. For example, financial resources, technological resources, but also just a way to connect each other and to communicate amongst each other, to exchange ideas and to find funding. And I invite you all to look up our social media channels and our website. If you go to music.glocha.info, right? Yeah, so music.glocha.info. Then you will find our website and our social media channels, and please follow us all and use our hashtag and see how you can get involved there. You can sign an online petition also, so we can increase the movement and to make the call for resources to the wealth holders of the world louder. We need you all in America to join us. Thank you.
Great. Hello, New York. How you guys doing? Yeah. My name is Ari Eisenstadt. I'm from California, and so happy to be here for my second climate summit. I'm here representing the impact investment space. So we're working with a project called Moeda, where we're using blockchain technology to invest in entrepreneurs all around the world that are working for climate action, for gender equality, and sustainable development. So you can all learn more about that, moeda.in, and see how you can all become impact investors and social entrepreneurs and use this new blockchain technology for climate action globally. Thank you.
Would you like to share with us what you are doing?
Oh, we're having trouble hearing you, Miro. Oh. Hold on. Could you repeat
Yes, please, someone from the audience tell us what you've been doing at the summit. We're interested in learning.
Who wants to share?
Does someone want to tell us? Thanks.
Hold on.
We've gone to a lot of workshops to learn about different aspects of climate change, and today we're all going to split up into our individual schools.
We cannot hear you, sorry.
Is the mic on?
Yep, hold on a second.
Maybe you can come to the computer.
Yeah. Come on up here.
We've all been going to workshops. We did that yesterday. And today we're splitting up to go with our individual schools to make plans for what we want to do in the year with our environmental clubs.
Could you speak to the
Hold on.
computer?
Can you hear us now better? Can you hear us better?
Okay. Yeah, so
Hold on.
we will have to watch your social media channels further and to learn about what you are doing, because
Yeah, I feel like that one's going to be those ones.
very important that young people all over the way to
Can you hear us now?
Millions of young people who need to make their voice heard.
It's not on mute. Hey, Miro, can you hear us now?
Your capabilities.
Oh, hang on just a second, you guys. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Microphone they're using is this one, so you gotta stand in front of this one. That's the one that's picking up
Oh.
his audio.
Are you?
So-
Can you hear us now?
Somebody needs to talk.
So yesterday we all went to workshop.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yesterday we were all going to workshops, and
Yeah.
today we're going to split up and work with our individual schools to make plans for what we want to do for the next year, the upcoming year. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, great. We really appreciate that you're holding this youth summit and that you're connecting with us here in Bonn.
Yes. Yay.
And let's all keep up the climate action.
So call for climate action. Thank you so much. And does anybody else have any questions from the audience that you want to ask? You're all terrified. I think we're going to sign off and get ready for our next session, but we're so grateful that we were able to connect with you, and we'll stay connected. Give youth a chance.
Yes. Give you the chance.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Bye.
Okay. I'm not sure what's next. Yeah. This? Do you need this?
No, you can just go down. Yeah, go down. Keep going down. It's a, here, I can pop it up. Is it in there now?
It's on the flash. Let's see.
Yeah.
What is this called?
I'm gonna turn. Do you want to talk walking like?
Sure. Yeah. Is there a clicker up here?
There is.
Does that work?
This is the clicker.
Perfect.
I'm gonna have Tim introduce you
Okay.
real quick, and then
hang
this
out
is
with
your clicker.
Still on, so-
That one is, yeah. Yeah. Fair.
All right. Is everyone ready for last plenary session? Yeah? More excited? Come on. All right, great. Because I'm pretty excited already. So for our next plenary session, we've got Sean Russell here. He's the founder and director of the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit, which is held annually in Florida and around the nation, that works to empower youth, much like here at the Adirondack Youth Climate Summit, except with a focus towards the ocean. This grew out of Sean's work in plastic pollution prevention as a high school student. And Sean also graduated from the University of California with a degree in biology and continues to work with a wide variety of organizations to help empower the youth, such as SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Youth Advisory Council, the National Marine Educators Association Board of Directors, the State Farm Youth Advisory Board, the Board of Directors of Youth Service America, the Florida 4-H Foundation, and he's also the recipient of the Brower Youth Award, Peter Bletchley Ocean Award, and the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program Blue Dolphin Award, mouthful. And even with all of those crazy things, he still finds time for hiking, kayaking, scuba diving, traveling, and photography. But most of all, he's excited to be here for you guys today.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. How are y'all doing this morning? Excellent. We're going to get that a little louder by the end of today. But thank you all so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to join you all here for the Youth Climate Summit. I've heard a lot about this program for a number of years now, so it's just a pleasure to be here in person. And on the note, can you guys give the organizers here in the Wild Center a huge round of applause for all the amazing work they've done to put this on for you all. Thank you all so much. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to share a little bit about my background and work growing up working on ocean conservation projects and kind of the key role that the ocean plays in every aspect of our lives, as well as that intersection between the ocean and climate. I'm going to talk to you about young people that I get to work with every day across the country who are leading incredible projects to take on the challenges facing our environment and take on the challenges facing our planet's marine ecosystems. And then I want to share just a few key lessons that you'll see sprinkled out throughout the presentation when it comes to taking action in your own communities around climate or other conservation issues. So to get started, let's take a look at the big picture. In the words of Dr. Sylvia Earle, even if you never have the chance to see or touch the ocean touches you. everyone, everywhere is inextricably connected to and utterly dependent upon the existence of the sea. When we zoom out and look at the world from space, we see that we truly live on a blue planet. The ocean takes up 71% of the surface area of the Earth, accounts for 97% of all of the water on our planet, and is in some way connected to every single body of water on the Earth. But far more than just taking up space, the ocean plays a key role in every aspect of our lives. When it comes to climate, we know the ocean plays a major role influencing weather and climate. Whether it's a small rain shower or a large hurricane like we've seen over the past several months, the ocean is a driving force behind weather and climate and also helps moderate our climate conditions, which are key factors determining the habitability of our planet. Now, you all know this, but many people have been taught, obviously, the importance of trees and plants and their role in producing the oxygen we breathe and absorbing carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. But what many people outside of this room don't understand is that the ocean and the plant life within it store more carbon dioxide than anything else on Earth. And of course, the microscopic phytoplankton in our planet's marine ecosystems and the plant life itself produce much of the oxygen we breathe every day, even right here in this room. Now, around the world, the ocean is home to an incredible diversity of life and habitats, including representatives from all major groups of organisms, and many that are only found in the ocean. The biodiversity on a single coral reef can be astounding, and with less than 5% of the ocean explored, we've barely scratched the surface of our understanding of the ocean, its inhabitants, and the key role they play in our lives. Now, apart from those basic life-giving resources, the ocean impacts our lives in a variety of other ways. In the US alone, 1 out of every 6 jobs is marine-related, and over a third of the US gross national product originates in coastal areas. Around the world, over 2.5 billion people rely on the ocean and fish for their major source of protein. And the ocean also plays a key role in transportation, the movement of goods and services, food, water, and energy resources, national security, and for recreation. Show of hands, how many people like to spend time around the ocean or marine environments or exploring those areas? Excellent. And this is coming from an area right in the middle of the state. Excellent. So I want you all to take a moment and close your eyes. Don't fall asleep on me, just close your eyes. I want you to imagine your favorite place to spend time around the ocean. Even if you've never been to a beach or the ocean, just what that might look like. Get that picture in your mind and see if you can imagine it. See people nodding, it's good. Now go ahead and open your eyes. Many of you may have imagined a scene like this one. Beautiful tropical island, palm trees blowing in the breeze, or a nice stretch of sandy beach, like some of the beaches in my home state of Florida. Or maybe just out in the open water, with that vast expanse of blue extending out into the horizon. But in reality, our ocean, and as you know, our planet is in a lot of trouble. And while you may not have imagined a scene like this one, plastic pollution and trash clog our ocean and waterways, negatively impacting marine animals and their inhabitants, as well as their habitats as a whole. In fact, a recent study suggests that by 2050, there will be more plastic pollution than fish by weight in our planet's ocean. As we look to the ocean as a resource, overfishing is another challenge that we face. With the onset of industrialized fishing techniques, we've seen declines of up to 90% of key fish species such as tuna. And studies suggest that global fish populations could collapse within our lifetime if changes aren't made. One specific example of our relentless demand on the ocean can be seen in shark fishing. Conservative estimates suggest that 100 million sharks are killed every year for meat, sport, or for their fins, which are used in the shark fin soup market and are often illegally harvested. Removing an apex predator like a shark out of the environment throws the entire ocean ecosystem out of balance. For me, growing up along the Gulf of Mexico, I'm constantly reminded of the potential consequences of our use of the ocean as an energy resource and the potential impacts of our extraction of fossil fuels from our marine environments. Around the world, habitat degradation due to human activities is wreaking havoc on our planet's marine ecosystems. As you all know, that carbon dioxide that's absorbed by the ocean is causing the ocean to become more acidic, negatively impacting marine habitats and impacting organisms like coral and other shelled animals. And of course, as everyone in this room knows, global climate change is, of course, being driven by human activities and impacting our marine environments around the world, their inhabitants, as well as human communities. So here's what we know. We know that our health is tied to the ocean, and the ocean's health is tied to us. And while the challenges facing our planet's marine ecosystem, such as climate change and really the environment as a whole, can sometimes seem overwhelming, it's not too late to turn the tide and reverse these trends. When we look at the world, we see that we truly live on a blue planet, and the ocean is the defining feature of the Earth. We also see a population of over 7 billion people, and of that, nearly half are under the age of 25. So if we're serious about addressing climate change and the challenges facing our planet, we can no longer afford to write off young people as leaders of the future. Instead, it is imperative that all of us step up to the plate and work with our peers and adult mentors to address these challenges head on. But where do you begin, and what do you do first? First, you must find your passion. You must find the issues that motivate you and inspire you to want to make a difference. For me, I found that passion growing up along the coast of Florida, exploring the local marine environments of my home state with my friends and family. At the age of 9, I joined a local 4-H club in my hometown of Sarasota, Florida, and had the chance to learn more about marine science and ocean conservation through a really hands-on approach. As I grew up working on environmental science 4-H projects, I had the chance to take part in events like Florida 4-H's Marine Ecology event, which gave me a chance to learn more about the incredible marine life, plants, and habitats of my home state. As I grew older, that interest in the ocean and marine environments quickly led to a growing interest in ocean conservation. And through my involvement in the Florida 4-H program, I had the chance to work with my peers on projects such as beach cleanups and habitat restoration projects to improve the health of my local marine environments. Over time, I had a chance to also develop public speaking skills through the 4-H program. So giving talks and presentations on sustainability, on marine science, and ultimately teaching younger students in my community about these topics, and all the while learning skills in science communication. And finally, some of these early experiences gave me the chance to develop organizational leadership skills, like event planning, marketing, and communication that I use every day in my work with young people on ocean conservation initiatives. These early experiences involved in ocean conservation work led me to pursue a 4-year high school internship at Mote Marine Laboratory in Sarasota, Florida, a world-renowned marine research, conservation, and education institution. And this was an incredible experience for me because I had the chance to work alongside marine scientists and educators and conservationists who've been doing this kind of work for years in a really hands-on way, and in turn take the knowledge I was gaining through these research experiences and share it with my community through educational outreach projects and volunteering for educational classes. Now, during my time in this program, I had the unique opportunity to spend 2 years working on a study of human-dolphin interactions in Sarasota Bay with my fellow high school interns and the Sarasota Dolphin Research Program, which is actually the world's longest-running wild dolphin research project, having studied the resident bottlenose dolphins in the Sarasota Bay area for over 40 years. Over these 2 years, my fellow interns and I joined Mote staff and scientists to monitor the dolphin population in our Sarasota Bay region, record data about their interactions with humans and sometimes negative interactions and those consequences, and in turn use that data to answer novel research questions about these animals and develop educational outreach projects to educate our community about the importance of protecting wild dolphins. Now, during this time, one of the issues that I came across that really stood out to me was the impact of improperly disposed of fishing line on dolphins and other marine wildlife. Monofilament fishing line, which can take up to 600 years to break down in the environment as a petroleum plastic-based product, can wreak havoc if it enters the environment, entangling, injuring, or killing a wide variety of marine animals, not just dolphins, but you see impacts on things like manatees, sea turtles, birds, and a wide variety of other species. And for me, seeing this issue firsthand really hit home, and really, it was kind of disheartening at first, but also inspiring, and really motivated me to want to make a difference and to want to do something to address this challenge. Now, when it comes to addressing these issues that we see in our community when it comes to climate change and other environmental challenges, the next step we have to do is identify solutions. Far too often we talk about climate change or the other big environmental challenges facing our planet. We focus only on the negative statistics and the seemingly insurmountable challenges. And while it's incredibly important for us to educate people about climate change and the state of our planet, we can't simply stop there. Instead, we must identify tangible solutions that people can get behind and take action around. Because solutions are what motivates people to take action and replaces disheartenment with hope. For me, the issue of fishing line entanglement of wildlife had a great solution in the form of fishing line recycling bins. And we see these up at many coastal areas and fishing piers all around the state of Florida and across the country. They provide a great tool for people to dispose of their used fishing line, and actually this line gets melted down and turned into artificial fish habitats and other recycled plastic products. And while this is a great solution to the challenge, one of the issues that we are seeing was that people aren't always fishing in an area where they can access these recycling bins. And they need that conservation tool to safely store their used fishing line, keeping it out of the environment until it can be disposed of. So at the time, one of the scientists that I worked with at Mote Marine Laboratory, Ken Bassos-Hull, came up to me with a really great solution to this challenge in the form of a personal-sized fishing line recycling bin that she had crafted out of a recycled tennis ball container. And for me, this was great. This was simple, it was easy to do, and it was something that people could get behind, especially young people, when it comes to taking action around this issue. These recycling bins are labeled, as you can see, with educational stickers describing their purpose. They have a Velcro strap, so people can strap them onto kayaks or boats or wherever they might be fishing at. And they serve both as that conservation tool and an educational outreach message to teach members of the community about the importance of this issue. So with that issue identified and a solution in hand, it was time to take action. And for me, in 2008, I launched a program called the Stow It, Don't Throw It Project, as a partnership between Mote Marine Laboratory and my local 4-H club, with a goal of engaging young people in my hometown and my local 4-H program and across the state of Florida, and assembling and distributing 1,000 of these recycling bins and educating their community about the importance of this issue. What started out as that one-year 4-H community service project quickly expanded as a result of the enthusiasm and the dedication of the young people who were empowered by this solutions-oriented approach to addressing this issue. Not only in 4-H, but young people in youth organizations across the country, school groups, summer camp programs, environmental education centers, zoos, and aquariums all got behind this effort and got involved, customizing the program to fit their local community and taking action to address this issue. And again, what started out as that one-year service project, 8 years later has now engaged young people across the country in assembling and distributing over 22,000 personal-sized fishing line recycling bins, and allowing us to share educational materials with young people around the world about plastic pollution prevention. Working on this issue and seeing how enthusiastic young people were about taking on this particular issue in their community motivated me to start, as you heard from Tim, the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit, which I launched in 2011 with the help of Mote Marine Laboratory. Much like this program, this event now brings together over 200 youth and adults from across the country, allows student participants to connect to mentors in the fields of conservation, marine science, and education. They hear from keynote speakers, from scientists, conservationists, educators, and explorers about the current threats facing our planet. And they hear from their peers who are already taking action, just like all of you, to address some of these big picture marine conservation challenges. Students do what you'll do in just a few minutes. They go through that action planning process where they identify the issues they're passionate about, they come up with solutions, they set their goals, and build out a plan for action in their communities. And they take part in a variety of workshops and sessions to give them the skills they need to make those projects successful. Again, as a result of the enthusiasm of young people coming to this program and their passion for taking on marine conservation challenges, this initiative is spread across the country with teams of youth and adults hosting their own youth ocean conservation summits in 10 cities to date and bringing this program to fit their local marine and aquatic ecosystems. Throughout the year, we connect the students involved in this program through what we call the Youth Ocean Conservation Team, which is a global support network to offer resources to these young people throughout the year. And through a monthly e-newsletter, we spotlight and highlight their projects, offer grants and funding to support their work, and field programs and expeditions to reconnect these students to each other out in the field taking on conservation issues. And while the challenges facing our planet, especially when it comes to climate change, can really seem overwhelming, working with students like this and being in a room with the young people that are here today and all of you is what inspires me and gives me hope for our future when it comes to addressing these challenges. And the young people involved in this program continue to take action to address a variety of marine conservation issues in their community. And so I want to introduce you to just a few of them. These are students from the National Aquarium's Aquarium on Wheels program in Baltimore, Maryland. And they're passionate about protecting the Chesapeake Bay, which is a critically important waterway in their local community. Each year they participate in habitat restoration projects, planting local marsh grasses and other key species to stabilize their shorelines and improve this important habitat. They're also passionate about education. And so each year they take this message out into the community by creating an educational play. They write the script, create the costumes, and build the storyline, and ultimately perform this play to younger students at their local library every summer to teach them about the importance of waterway conservation. Lily Tugas is a student from the east coast of Florida who's passionate about protecting the Indian River Lagoon, which is a critically important estuary and body of water in her community that unfortunately has been threatened due to runoff and other pollution issues. She's taken this message to Capitol Hill and to Tallahassee, Florida, our state capital, to call on lawmakers to step up to the plate and take action when it comes to protecting this important estuary. Delaney Farrell is a student who's passionate about shark conservation, and so she started a program called Finformation in her community, where she takes the message out to her schools and to other youth organizations with educational games and activities to get young people excited about sharks and the important role that they play in our marine environment. These are students from Berkeley Preparatory School who are passionate about teaching their community how to save water and plant drought-tolerant plants in their community. So they created a vertical teaching garden at their school, using recycled 2-liter soda bottles for planters and planting water-saving plants. This garden now serves as a reminder to their student body how to save water and as an important lesson for members of their community to take action around water conservation. These are pictures from a student named Annie Means from Seattle, Washington, who was passionate about addressing the plastic pollution she found on her local beaches. She realized that her waterfront parks lacked recycling bins and decided to do something about it. So every day she went out on walks on the beach, took pictures of the plastic trash that she found, documented those pictures through a blog, and ultimately used that blog and those photos as leverage to successfully lobby her city parks department to implement the first recycling bins at her local beachfront parks. These are students from South Florida who are passionate about protecting their local estuary environments and have raised thousands of mangrove plants, which are a critically important saltwater species in the state of Florida and around our coast. And they also are fantastic for the amount of carbon dioxide they absorb out of the atmosphere. So they've planted these by the thousands with help from their community to help improve their shorelines and protect this important habitat. Students from South Broward High School were also passionate about addressing the plastic pollution they were finding in their community. So they launched a club called the Plastic Free Mermaids, designed to teach members of their community about living a plastic-free lifestyle. They've organized cleanup programs, educational outreach events, and have worked to raise funds to install the first refillable water bottle stations at their school to help address plastic pollution at its source. Most recently, they've been working to call on their city commission and other local government officials to enforce plastic pollution prevention legislation in their local community. Brooke Welch is a student from Sarasota, Florida, who is passionate about connecting her peers to the incredible environment around their hometown. So she started a group called the Sarasota Ocean Preservers and leads students on field trips, taking them snorkeling and exploring the local marine environments while leading them in habitat restoration projects and beach cleanups while they're out there. Students from the St. Augustine Swordfish Marine Ecology 4-H Club are passionate about water quality and teaching members of their community the actions that we can all take to improve the water quality in our hometowns. So they started a water quality awareness project, taking hands-on activities out to community events and festivals to teach members of their community the actions that we can all take to improve and protect our local waterways. Students in the Wild Over Wildlife Club are passionate about a variety of marine conservation issues. They've helped lead habitat restoration projects and a variety of educational outreach programs, but they've also used their artistic talent to help raise awareness about ocean conservation. They've taken photographs of endangered Florida species and turned those into a calendar, which educates people about those animals, and they ultimately sell the calendars to raise funds for ocean conservation efforts. And finally, if you just need a reminder that you're never too young to get involved and take action, I want to introduce you to Ryan Moralovitz, who I first met at the age of 5 when he started a project called The Fish's Wishes. Ryan works to paint driftwood ornaments and magnets, sells them to raise funds for ocean conservation efforts. He's participated in habitat restoration projects and beach cleanups with his friends and family. He's even written a book called Puffy the Pufferfish Saves the Ocean. And most recently, at the age of 10, his school allowed him to take over their half-day summer camp for a week and lead educational programming on ocean conservation to his peers while raising funds to help support ocean conservation work. So I hope these stories give you a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of ideas when it comes to developing your own conservation and climate action plans later today. Now for me, I had the pleasure of attending the University of Florida while working on these initiatives. And really, my experiences combining marine science education, conservation, and research helped ultimately influence my career decision and my education path. After graduating from the University of Florida, I've had the pleasure of working with amazing organizations like SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, Earth Echo International, Moat Marine Laboratory, and Georgia Seagram to develop opportunities for young people to step up to the plate as leaders in the fields of marine science, education, and conservation. And during this time, one of the final key lessons that I've really learned through these experiences is the importance of collaboration on a global scale if we're truly going to address the challenges facing our planet and address the challenges we see with climate. So I want to challenge you all today to get connected, to build the connections with the people you meet here today, whether it be the presenters, your peers, volunteers, other mentors, and to start making those connections for your own projects. Because in order to really grow the movement that we need to address climate change and the challenges that are facing our planet, we need those connections on a global scale, and it was perfect to see that kick off today with the Skype call with Germany. So I want to share a few just resources for you all to connect with as you begin to launch your climate action plans. First of all, we'd love for you to connect with us at the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit, sign up for our e-newsletter, get connected to resources and other young people working on ocean conservation and climate-related issues across the country and around the world. Now, as you go to prepare your own conservation projects, another great organization and resource to connect to is Youth Service America. Youth Service America is a fantastic youth service organization that works with young people around the world on a variety of issues, but especially has a big focus on environmental causes. Through YSA, they have fantastic resources and training programs to help expand your community service projects and offer grants and awards and funding opportunities to help grow the efforts that you'll plan out here today. One of the initiatives that I've had a lot of fun working on in the past several years is to work with organizations to really build opportunities for young people to lead their organizations at the highest level. And I have the pleasure of working with SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment over the past several years to launch the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Youth Advisory Council, which is an amazing group of young people from across the country who help guide SeaWorld's conservation and education work from a youth perspective and really bring that youth voice and youth leadership to their programs. And I'm excited to share today that we've recently opened applications for the 4th class of SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Youth Advisory Council members, and those are available through November 27th at SeaWorldCares.com. Would love to see you all apply, and if you have questions, feel free to come and grab me after the presentation. One of the other issues that I'm really passionate about is telling the stories of young people just like all of you who are really stepping up to the plate and taking an active role when it comes to addressing climate and the other challenges facing our planet. So a couple of years ago, I teamed up with 2 of my colleagues to launch Sea Youth Rise Up, which is an initiative that every year utilizes World Oceans Day on June 8th as a rallying point to tell the stories of the incredible work of young people just like you taking action to protect our ocean. Each year we take delegations of outstanding young conservation leaders to New York City or Washington, D.C., and give them a platform to share the work they're doing and really speak up when it comes to highlighting the important role that young people play in the conservation movement. I'd encourage all of you, if you're interested, to visit seayouthriseup.com and consider applying to join us for our 2018 delegation next summer. And as you heard from Tim, one of the other organizations that I work with is the National Marine Educators Association. And it's really exciting to see young people working to get more involved in professional organizations at an early age. The National Marine Educator Association is a professional network of marine science educators from diverse fields, from schools, universities, government agencies like NOAA, and aquariums and science centers. And with student membership opportunities at a student conference, it's a fantastic chance for you all to connect with professionals in this field and to learn from them as you pursue your own personal career interests, conservation work, and educational experiences. And finally, personally, I just took on a new role managing the Earth Echo Water Challenge, which is part of Earth Echo International, a nonprofit organization founded by Philippe Cousteau, the grandson of legendary ocean explorer Jacques Cousteau. And we work with young people around the world to give them the tools and resources they need to take action on sustainability issues. Specifically, I'm working to manage their Water Challenge program, which is a global effort designed to engage young people in taking action to protect their water resources and monitoring the quality of their local waterways. So again, for some more great resources, toolkits, and other opportunities, visit earthecho.org as you carry out your conservation projects. So now we've talked about the importance of identifying the issues you're passionate about finding solutions, about taking action, building connections, and I want to leave you with the importance of dreaming big. We all have some serious challenges out there that we all know about when it comes to the climate change challenges facing our planet and a variety of other issues that we see in our environment. And we need all of you to come up with the big solutions, the big ideas that are truly going to have that big impact on our planet and really address these issues. And we need you to start now and start today. And in just a few minutes, I'm thrilled to see the ideas that you'll come up with as you develop your climate action plans. So, Youth Climate Summit. It is now the time. It's time to find those issues you're passionate about. It's time to identify solutions. It's time to build that plan for action. It's time to make connections while you're here today and when you leave, and take this back to your communities, because remember, it doesn't end here today. And it's time to dream big and believe in your power to make a positive impact on our planet. So, are you in? Then let's go change the world. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your conference, and best of luck with your projects.
Well, I think one more round of applause for Sean. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to have a couple of my Youth Summit crew members help hand out surveys, because I know none of you are sick of those yet. However, we do have time for some questions for Sean. So if you raise your hand, and actually if you stand up, that would be even more helpful for the people running around with microphones. So if you would like to ask a question, I know I'm asking you to stand up now. It's a little bit more than what you've done before. But any questions, come and stand up and a microphone will get to you.
Hi, Sean. The recycle bins for the what is that stuff? Fishing line. Were those made out of, like, what was that made out of? Because that looked really cool and it didn't look like it was too hard to put together.
Yes. Yeah, so those are made out of recycled tennis ball containers. So the plastic tennis ball containers? The bigger ones, those are made out of PVC pipe tubing. So yeah, so if you visit fishinglinerecycling.org is the Florida version and kind of the original monofilament recovery and recycling program. And they've got instruction guides and resources. And it started out, early as an initiative. Florida did a lot of work on that early on with Florida Fish and Wildlife and different groups. But it's really been a program that's been spread across the country. The Boat US Foundation and different groups have helped push it nationally. But yeah, they have guide resources and instructions. And the biggest thing with those bins is making sure that once they're, once you put them up with permission and everything else, that there's a volunteer team to help follow up and collect the line, that comes out of this, as you can imagine. But ultimately, it's a pretty cool process. Like I said, it gets mailed off to a company that melts that down and turns it into fish habitats they use for fisheries enhancement. So it's a neat way it kind of gets repurposed as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
How old were you when you started with everything, and when you started getting into the bigger companies and stuff? And how old are you now? Because you seem really young, and it's like amazing to see that you've done so much.
So a couple things. How old do you think I am? I have to ask. Take a guess. Take a guess. This is fun. Oh, okay, that's good. I'm 25. Yeah. So usually people don't hit it perfect. That's excellent. So I kind of and I skipped over a little bit of this, but for me growing up, it wasn't always about being part of organizations and programs, but my early experiences were really first with my family. It was taking camping trips across the country to national parks and just getting out and getting connected to nature. I think is something that we skip over sometimes when we talk about the process for for some of these conservation efforts. And that's really, for me, been a big inspiration, is having that opportunity to build those connections with the natural world. Started getting more involved in conservation projects, definitely through the 4-H program when I was about 9 or 10. Just beach cleanups and habitat restoration projects. I went to summer camps at the aquarium in Sarasota at Mote Marine Laboratory. And it kind of just grew up with it from there. And I was 16 when I started to work on the fishing line recycling campaign, and kind of been going nonstop ever since then. And for me, I will say too, and that's why it's always, again, such a pleasure, and why I give a huge shout out to the folks here at the Wild Center. More and more organizations are really understanding the important role that young people can play at an early age when it comes to taking conservation action. And for me, I've been incredibly fortunate to work with organizations like Mote Marine Laboratory, who, when I came to them at the age of 18 to say, hey, I want to start this project or this program, they didn't tell me no, or they didn't tell me to come back in a few years, but they said, sure, go for it. And I think that's the attitude that's embodied here at the Wild Center. Is amazing. You have an amazing support network here of people who believe in those ideas that you have and that you'll come up with today. And for me, that opened a lot of doors for me that probably wouldn't have otherwise if I didn't have those types of people who really believed in young people at that early age. And so that's why it's been exciting for me in my work to have the chance to help develop programs and work with organizations to break down some of those barriers and build more opportunities for young people to get involved and take action.
All the way over there first. Yes. Hi, I was just wondering, how many beaches did you get the recycling fish lining things to?
Yeah, so the larger bins are located pretty extensively, and those have been up for a long time. But you can look on the maps of the state of Florida. So pretty well, our coast is pretty well covered, and that's before I came into this work. A lot of amazing organizations do that locally in different counties and regions. And that's also spread to a number of other states and coastal areas, including inland regions. For our smaller bins, we've worked with students in 10 states to make those, and it's been everywhere from all over the state of Florida to we've worked with the Seabird Youth Camp off the coast of Alaska on these little tiny islands, who didn't have tennis ball cans but used plastic Folgers coffee cans because they didn't want to bring extra plastic onto their island. They have a lot of problems with marine debris being so remote. So 10 states so far, and then we've been able to share a lot of resources around the world as well.
Hi, over here. What are some ways that we can get involved in the preservation of oceans, even in upstate New York?
That's a great question. I feel like that's a question that really flies under the radar a lot because, I was really excited this year. We did our first Youth Ocean Conservation Summit in St. Louis, Missouri, first kind of landlocked state who looked at this. And with our Sea Youth Rise Up delegation as well, the group I told you we took to New York and Washington, D.C., we had a student last year from a small town in central Illinois. And people don't always make those connections to the fact that if you're in a completely landlocked area, you have that impact on the coast. And I think two of the issues that really stand out to me and to make those connections on are, one, obviously climate. So climate is something that I am at reefs in South Florida that are degraded due to climate change and ocean acidification that's caused by all of us. It's not isolated to the people who live just on the Florida coast, but it's that kind of big global influence we have. So I think climate change is one particular issue that it's not always easy, but to make those connections for people between the actions they take right here in New York to the ocean and places all around the world. And the other one for me is plastic pollution. When we see plastic pollution in our ocean, it is absolutely amazing to see where it comes from. It's definitely not something that just comes, right off the land from people having a picnic on their beach and don't throw away their trash. It comes from all over, and that's where we really see the connections with our rivers and our waterways, how we're all really interconnected. Everything really is downstream and to the ocean. So I think those are the two for me that stand out to make those connections. Inland audiences are definitely the climate issue and also plastic pollution.
Any other questions? Anybody? Ew.
Do you have any tips for getting involved in going to these programs and actually volunteering and working on the shore and on the ocean?
Yeah, I would say honestly, the biggest thing for the kind of the two steps in that for me were, one, just find those issues that you're interested in, whether that's the issues you come up with today or other issues you're personally interested in. And then do a search of who's working on this. Find those organizations that are doing work in that area and reach out to them. I'm always amazed, I think, especially early on in my work, the people who said yes to getting involved in the work that I was doing or who were interested in were probably usually the ones I never thought might say yes to be interested. So find those email addresses, reach out to people, even if you don't know them, start building those connections because it's so incredibly important. And on the flip side, so many organizations that I work with, and you saw a lot of them on the screen there, are looking for young people to get involved in their work. They want young people. They want to recruit young people into their programs. They want young volunteers working with them and coming up with those innovative ideas and solutions to the issues that we're trying to address. So I would say, find those issues that you're interested in, see who's doing the work on those issues already, and reach out to them. If you've got ideas you want to share with them or work on a project with them, share those ideas, and chances are they'll be very excited to hear from you and want to reach out and work with you as well.
Any other questions? Okay. We can still take a couple more, so don't be afraid. Raise your hands.
What's your favorite ocean animal?
That's a good one. Somebody was asking this last night. Usually this will change on a weekly basis, but what I told somebody this week, so I'll have to stick with that already. Corals I think are really fascinating. So I've done a lot of work with high school students on coral reef research the past couple years, and what's fascinating about corals is it's not only the animal itself and the structure they build, but there's such a support network for so many other marine species that rely on that that one animal for their life and their livelihood. So it's such a supportive habitat that they help create, and it's pretty fascinating.
We have another question. There we go. I'm coming, I promise.
Hi, I just wanted to add on to your answer to the question about how upstate New York residents can help oceans, and you mentioned plastic. So I wanted to point out that the governor, our New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo, has developed a plastic bag task force. And if everyone could write to plasticbags@dec.ny.gov to suggest banning plastic bags, or at least putting a plastic bag fee on plastic bags in New York State, that would be an awesome action that everyone could take today.
Absolutely. That is a great point. And we actually talked about this a little bit, last night. So New York is one of the states, like my home state of Florida, that's faced challenges with local cities and local ordinances wanting to pass bans on plastic bags, but the state kind of negating that at the state level. So in my home state of Florida, we have local cities, especially along the coast, that want to pass a ban or a tax on bags, but because of a state legislation, they're not allowed to do that. So it's this fascinating kind of back and forth with local cities and ordinances wanting to make those laws, but the state kind of negating that. So yeah, absolutely a great way to take action.
We could take one or two more questions. Wait, raise your hand really high if you have one, so I can actually see you. Is there another one? Anywhere? Good. Okay, well, we do have one more? No, that's okay. So if you do have other questions for Sean, he's going to be sticking around for a little bit longer, so you will be able to ask him all the questions. But let's give him one more huge round of applause. Thank you so much, Sean. So we are moving on. I just need your attention for like 3 more minutes. I promise I will be quick. Remember, before you leave this room, there are wonderful people ready to take your feedback surveys. There is only one more feedback survey after this that you are going to have to fill out, I promise. But thank you very much for providing all of your feedback. We are moving into the climate action planning part. So I just want to explain a couple of things. Right outside both doors, There are a ton of resources for you, big giant pieces of paper, the physical actual climate action plans. You should definitely grab at least one of those so your group has an idea of what the process is. There are markers, there's everything. Take over the museum, okay? You have our permission to go all over the place. If you would like to sit in front of one of the fish tanks, awesome. Want to go to Planet Adirondack? Even better. But really take over, find your own space. And anybody have an agenda up here real quick? We will be recongregating. Okay, we will be recongregating in the Find Out Forest at 11:30. Okay, so you have from now, and hold off just a sec, you have from now until 11:30. One thing I do want to mention from Sean's presentation, the Wild Center can be one of those resources. Okay, it has been mentioned before, but the whole reason that any of this exists is because one student emailed Jen in the middle of the night. So you do need to email these people randomly, okay? You can talk to people. You can, any organization, if you enjoy them, you like them, you think, I would really like to work with them. You don't know what opportunities are available until you ask them. And the Wild Center in particular, and our volunteer coordinator is running around outside, even if you would like to maybe not work with us for the climate aspect, but maybe you're interested in animal care, or you're interested in Planet Adirondack, or something else that we do here at the Wild Center, we have a wonderful volunteer coordinator and a phenomenal volunteer program. We would love to get more youth involved. We'd love to get more teachers involved. So if that is something that you, apart from this, something you want to get involved in, please reach out to us. We are definitely here.
And we have an intern program for
And
college
we have
students.
an intern program for
Katie
college
went
students,
through.
which I went through, Meadow and Gina went through, and it's, yeah, we have summer internships, we have year-long internships now too, but reach out. The worst anybody can ever say is no, and reach out to us not only to get involved with us, but to ask for resources. Again, the worst anyone can say is no, and then at least you tried. And I would suggest maybe asking more than once as well. But if there are no other questions, get on outside and start climate action planning. Enjoy.